Welcome to the Whole Foods crowdfunding event. My name is Nancy Trent. I'm president of Trent and Company, which is a New York-based marketing public relations firm. And I'm here with Samantha DelCanto. Samantha, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Samantha DelCanto. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for FundAnything, which is a rewards-based crowdfunding site, and I'm so happy to be here.
Well, welcome. So I guess what we're talking about is what tips do you have for how people can be successful on a crowdfunding campaign?
Well, I think we're dealing with food, beverage, and health and beauty lines for this crowdfunding seminar.
Supplements, natural products for the home, you know, everything that has potential to be natural.
So I think the person who has one of these products or is developing one of these products has done their research. They know how much their product is going to cost to produce. They know how much it's going to cost to ship that product. And I think all that goes into defining, you know, what is your financial campaign goal if you want to start a crowdfunding campaign to get that product to market or test the market for that or develop a following for that. I think that, you know, very, very important is knowing what that product is going to cost.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the cost of it, which is very, very important, but I like for people to even go a step further back, which is, you know, what is your vision? What are you trying to accomplish with this product? It's very important for people to have a very clear idea about that. And when you're thinking about what your product is, it's probably very important to not only know what you want to do, but what competitors are doing, so that you can create something that not everybody else has, and something that is truly unique and different. And then I guess you have to figure out, you know, what you're talking about is how much money is needed for funding. Any tips on that?
Well, I'm assuming that you've done all that homework before you decide to crowdfund, and you should absolutely have done all of that before you begin a campaign or begin thinking about a campaign. You should absolutely know your product, you know, inside and out.
Yeah.
And you've done all that research. I think, you know, crowdfunding can serve a variety of purposes for the entrepreneur. It can define your market. It can give you feedback about this product. You might think that a, you know, gluten-free, liquid-based foundation is the greatest thing, but your crowdfunders might tell you something different. Maybe, you know, they want something else. So it's very good for market research to do a crowdfunding campaign, actually.
Yeah, and things may not be that attractive to consumers today, but after more education, as people learn more about it, you know, many things that weren't in once later on become very cool and in.
You'll get a lot of feedback from the people that are contributing to your campaign because they feel they're part of the process. It's very inclusive, and it starts building your audience and building your followers. So for you as an entrepreneur, it's a very important, I think, step, especially for somebody who's just starting out.
Right, right. Well, we say that 90% of your work, crowdfunding, should be done way before you even put up the site.
No, absolutely. Before you put a campaign up, you should have done all your legwork, done all your homework, done your marketing research, priced out your product, know what it's going to cost to get somewhere. Just all those little things should be done in advance.
Yeah. Any tips for people here about how to learn about your audience? You know, to find out who would be the people, how to make sure that you're evaluating who might be the ones who'd be investing in the product, you know, and when I say that, you know, actually going on the crowdfunding site or buying the product. Any tips about that?
I think that's, again, getting back to doing your market research. So, you know, one, you should be looking at other, you know, crowdfunding campaigns in your space, and, you know, what sites were they on, and how successful were they, and how big were those campaigns. You really need to look at, you know, what your competitors are doing in crowdfunding, and then you'll get ideas. And then also, that's, again, part of that research for launch is, who are the bloggers out there? Who are the journalists writing about this? Who are the editors? Who are the local community supporting these types of things? And that, again, plays into your campaign as well as your research for your product.
Exactly. It's important to look at the small picture, but it's also important to think about the big picture. People don't realize that there are, in my mind, there's 3 categories of influencers. The first category of influencers that have a lot of power are celebrities. And you may say, you know, given you were just talking about a gluten-free foundation. maybe not everybody, is interested in gluten-free, but some people are, and especially some celebrities. And it's very important to figure out who the celebrities are that would be interested in what you're doing, and try and reach them in any way, shape, or form that you can. And we have more ways to reach them now with social media than ever.
You do, and I think there are celebrity wranglers out there who supply products and things that they've received to celebrities. And
Right.
you might know more about that than I
Yeah.
do, but there's a way to get those products to celebrities.
Absolutely. And it starts out with research. I'm going to go to the other two tiers of influencers
Sure.
in a second, but we're getting a question about, should I offer incentives?
Absolutely. Rewards are could be part of the most important thing for your campaign. So your mom loves you, and your mom probably would give you money to do any startup you want, but nobody else will. Unless you offer them really cool stuff. So campaigns are, yes, they're about community and they're about people supporting others' dreams and businesses, but it's also transactional.
Yes.
So if I'm, contributing $25 to your campaign, I need to get something that's of value to me for that $25. So I think when you're thinking about rewards, you really need to think about, pricing. Is this priced right? And again, look at other campaigns in your space. What are they offering for that? For example, if you're selling a foundation for, if you're crowdfunding a foundation, and let's say you want to price 5 ounces of that at $25. Is that a good value for somebody who's contributing? What have other people done with that? Or what can I buy that foundation for in the store?
Yeah. I have a few other tips from people I've spoken with in the past. And before I forget, I don't want to end this conversation without hearing from you about some examples of incentives you thought were great. But I spoke with 2 women who crowdfunded their campaign, and they made cross-country skis. And they offered people prototypes if they would contribute, I think it was $100 or $200 to their campaign. And what she didn't realize when she did that is giving people prototypes is really scary business. You don't know if they're going to work or not. So, and then again, so number one, you don't know if they're going to work or not, so you can't sleep at night. And then you have to worry about how much these things cost. Prototypes are very, very expensive. They cost way more than the market value of the product, even though they're not ready yet. That's another problem. And then also what people have to think about is the cost of shipping.
Yep.
So when you're thinking about the product, remember, you've got to keep that in mind. Shipping costs are definitely a reality there. And let me, on this note, any incentives that you've seen work really well?
I think that very important is the pricing tiers that you use. Basically, you have to think of your crowdfunding campaign as a pop-up shop. And how much you can raise is dependent on how interesting are your products, and that they're at a correct price point, and how many people you push into that shop.
Yeah.
So don't confuse them by having 5 rewards at $20. There should be one $20 reward, one $50 reward, one in whatever your pricing tiers are. The less choice, I think, the better.
I agree with you 100% on that. Now we have another question. Can you speak a bit about crowdfunding for emerging nonprofits? Great question. Any thoughts on that?
I think nonprofits are using crowdfunding more and more. Basically, it's what they've been doing all along, and now they're just taking it online and reaching more people than ever through crowdfunding. So it's a great way.
I'm so thrilled that there is this opportunity for nonprofits now to be getting the word out.
And I think CrowdRise offers a very good platform for nonprofits to use teams to raise money and things like that.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and it will be a way that more people can actually vote with their dollar. And I'm sure that there's going to be a point when politicians are going to be seeing what people are investing in to have an even better idea of what people are interested in and what they consider important. We were talking before about how to get the word out there. We mentioned celebrities. Another thing that's very important to do when you're coming out with a new product is if it's something you're truly passionate about, you're probably aware of the organizations that would probably be in support of your product. You're probably aware of people who've written books or articles about it, and I really suggest contacting them and getting them involved because they
absolutely.
will. What's great about crowdfunding is yes, you could definitely give money, and monetary support is so important, but the numbers that you bring, the eyeballs that you bring to it are really a great contribution.
Mm-hmm.
So getting influentials involved is a really good thing. And you also mentioned a bit about bloggers.
Absolutely. I
People
think
with huge followings are so important.
in the past, whenever we've done very, very large campaigns on the site, and sometimes we get involved in some of the larger campaigns to campaign manage, we raised $1.5 million for Adam Carolla to do a new film, $1.2 million for Penn Jillette for a film, Zoe Cassavetes, quite a few people.
Wow.
So what we initially do before even launching is to do a lot of blogger outreach, and that means researching who's going to write about this product. And you could be looking at 3 or 4 different communities that would write about it. It could be again, getting back to a gluten-free foundation. I'm sorry, I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
It could be
beauty people,
Mhm.
it could be people aspiring to be models, it could be obviously people who have celiac issues.
It could be mommy bloggers. I mean, you just really
Yeah.
need to sort of start looking at that online universe of who is potentially interested in this crowdfunding campaign of yours.
Right.
And also, don't forget who has large Twitter feeds, who has Facebook pages with a lot of followers, and even online websites.
Right. Again, it's looking at the product for all the different categories of people who might be interested in this, and there's a lot, and you really have to go beyond your little world. So we have a question. Tech sees crowdfunding success a lot. How can you get around this for non-tech campaigns?
I think you need to throw your line in the water where the fish are.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, are there sites out there who have successfully raised money for other products like yours? Because they will have an audience perhaps for your product. So if you see one of the sites out there that is very successful with food campaigns or beauty campaigns or beverage campaigns,
Health campaigns.
try that. And then also I think I think the general public doesn't know what crowdfunding is yet. Tech knows about it and creative fields know about it, film knows about it, but really the average American doesn't know what it is. So I think as it becomes more commonplace, it will become easier and easier for other industries to crowdfund.
Yeah. And on the same note, people are saying that crowdfunding is the way that is the HSN or QVC for men.
Absolutely.
Because people are looking for what's new and different on these crowdfunding sources.
Well, for gadgets especially.
Especially.
For gadgets especially.
And I think for the different crowdfunding platforms for different products too, people are looking for what's interesting.
Gadgets,
important.
gaming is very, very popular. There's huge music sites out there. Obviously, film has raised a lot of money. Web projects.
It's fascinating to me about how film is raising money.
Tons of money.
Entertainment on this, and it just goes to show one of the issues that we have to talk about for a successful crowdfunding campaign is the importance of the video.
Absolutely.
People talk about this video, and when you go on some of these crowdfunding websites, platforms, you'll see that there'll be very, very famous people trying to raise money right next to people who have very little film experience.
Right.
And you really can learn what it takes for a video to be successful.
You don't need to have film experience. You just need to hire a videographer who's done either crowdfunding campaign videos or music videos. You can find these guys online on Elance, on Fiverr. Get somebody to shoot your video. You absolutely need a video, because not only are people contributing to your campaign because your product is cool and interesting, they're contributing to you. So they have to believe in you, and you need to show them your passion for this product. If you don't believe in it, why should I? And I think in a video that really, really comes through.
Yeah. I actually have a friend who hired she really saved up because she heard about the importance of the video, and she really saved up to get a good videographer who had a relation and all this. And the person did a video for her, and when she looked at the video, she said, I don't know about this. That doesn't really feel right to me. So what she ended up doing was literally holding a video camera and telling her story right to the camera.
Oh, I think that, Nancy, that's an excellent point. I think before you sit down to shoot your campaign video, practice at home. Get your brother, get your kid, get your husband to hold up the iPhone, and you talk into the iPhone and present your pitch. And do that a couple of times, because you'll see things about your mannerisms, you'll rework your pitch. So you should practice before you actually sit down with that videographer.
Great, that's a great idea. there's nothing wrong with practicing. I mean, when you think about it, the top actors and actresses in the world, they rehearse many, many
Right.
times.
And they've made a lot of bad movies.
Yeah. So even with those couple of good ones, they made bad ones, even with all that rehearsing.
Right.
So rehearsing is really, really important. And there are many, many tips that people can give you about how to be more persuasive and how to get your story out there and how to, believe it or not, appearing authentic is...
I think just show your passion for your product, show you're knowledgeable about your product, make me have confidence in giving you a contribution that this is actually going to come to happen, that you will get this product to market. That's what I want to believe, and that's why I would contribute. And I think also very, very important is during that video, you have to do a call to action. You need to say, contribute now. Hit that button and contribute. In whatever fashion you want to say that, but I think you should do a direct call to action somewhere in your video, in your own style, your own personal way, but you need to ask for the money.
There's actually a psychological reason for that. People say that it takes 7 to 11 times for people to hear something they haven't heard of before. And very often, like when we go shopping, do we really think we're going to buy something, or is it just to look around and get ideas? What is it? So many times we're going to these crowdfunding sites just to be a little bit more informed, be a little bit more entertained, get more information. And when you say to someone, hit that button, it starts becoming real. Yeah, I can do this. I could really help that person. One of the things I also want to say that I feel is so important for the success of these people is you have to show me that by doing this, I'm doing something good for the world, or good for myself. Like, show me what I'm accomplishing by pressing that button.
It's that kind of halo effect. So if there's any way you can tie into, a greater community or some feel-good sort of cause in there, that helps. You can also say that I'm going to donate, 1% of whatever I raise or 10% of whatever I raise to some other cause. This way, you're paying it forward yourself.
Which is a good thing to think about. Another question we have is, how can I determine the exact amount of money I need? Guess or seek outside consulting? First of all, you really have to price things out before you do this.
Right.
You really have to do the research. And if you have any question about how much this is going to cost, you haven't done enough research, and that is a problem. And that could be your own little idea of, am I ready to go out yet? On the other hand, there are always prices that are elastic, which means, I could give this amount, I could give this, different things. And I feel it's always important to estimate on the more expensive side, because rarely do people come under. And very often when you come under, people say, oh my gosh, you didn't pay as much as you should have. And this is maybe an excuse for why something didn't happen. So use, if you have any questions, as an indication, maybe I haven't done research. On the other hand, estimate high. Any thoughts on that?
Never, never, never guess. If you have to guess, you have not, priced out your product and you don't know, what it's going to cost or how much shipping is. That means you just need to do more research. And again, that just goes back to the whole notion of a shop. You are setting up a pop-up shop for this campaign for 30 days or 45 days. So would you ever open a shop and not know how much something in there is going to cost you and what it's going to cost to get to the customer and how much it's going to cost to manufacture? Now, things always go wrong.
Yeah.
Especially if you've never manufactured this before. So if you can do a small run and see, the things that, could go wrong. I remember I used to be a bikini designer and I would manufacture bikinis. And the first run I did, we had problems with the string on the bikinis.
Yeah.
So, something is always going to go wrong. Just build that into the budget a bit, and also if you can do a test run, that will really help before you crowdfund.
Yeah, yeah. So many people thought their first try was going to be crowdfunding, but you're saying try something before.
If you if it's possible, if you can.
If you can, it would be terrific, because it's so important to have supporters before you start crowdfunding. You have to really build up that core audience before you go out there, because that core audience is going to give other people who haven't heard of you before confidence. So you really have to build them up. So if there's any way that you could try it on a small scale, get people who are supporters, and then go out there, that would be terrific.
And try and work with a manufacturer who's used to dealing with new designers, or is used to smaller runs, because they probably will work with you more.
Yeah, And
troubleshoot a bit for you, hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people would say you're crazy, but you have to find manufacturers who will be excited about this thing. You know, there are some manufacturers who aren't equipped to handle a small run. There are some manufacturers who are, and they're excited about this. You know, like a lot of crowdfunding is cool and hip. If you're in that world, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, tell me something I haven't heard of before. But some people would be interested and excited, and that's the person you want to work with. You want to work with someone and other people who are as passionate as you are, I believe. Can equity be offered to crowdfunders pursuant to the JOB Act? Is this attractive to celebrities like 50 Cent and Vitamin Water?
Equity at this point cannot be offered to crowdfunders. It can only be offered to accredited investors through certain sites that deal with those types of, those types of startups.
Yeah, yeah. And you know something, I am a huge fan of crowdfunding for many reasons. I think it gives people an opportunity, it helps nonprofit organizations, it educates people, it levels the playing ground between small entrepreneurs and big companies. But I have to say, I was speaking to a very, very sophisticated stockbroker, and I told him about crowdfunding. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the antithesis of everything that we have tried to protect.
Okay, I totally disagree. Crowdfunding for equity is coming, and it's going to happen. And I think crowdfunding a campaign right now for your product, if you demonstrate success, often puts you on that road to raising equity. So.
Yeah, it levels the playing field, so that's a great thing. So, you know, you just have to keep your eyes open. And, you know, another thing I want to say, that people think that crowdfunding is really, you know, it's fun, it's exciting, you know, I could do it as a little part-time job, or, you know, so I could do it, you know, when I'm not working. But you have to understand, from my experience, the people who are most successful are people who are 100% into this. Have you noticed that?
I think that you have to love what you're doing. And, you know, people think that, you know, the internet is this magical place where if I put up a campaign, suddenly millions of dollars are going to flow into it.
If only.
Yeah, if only. It's work. It's like campaigning, you know, it's like running for office. It's like, you know, doing a startup. Basically, you have to have passion and enthusiasm and, you know, just love what you're doing, or it's not going to work. So
yeah, you know what they say? They say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. If you love it, like, so if you're thinking, this is grudge, this is like, I don't really want to do this, forget it. You have to love it and be, you know, because there is going to be a time before which you're going to get paid, and you are going on a whim, so you really have to love it and really enjoy it. So don't get involved in something you can't be really passionate about. Question, how does your advice apply to a small business that's been around a few years and needs money for expansion improvements? Great question.
That is. I think in that case, you know, you can offer a new product line to raise money for extensions and things like that. Expansion, you're going to have to offer some type of rewards that people want to get.
Yeah.
In order for them to fund you to expand or do something like that. So again, I would look at what is your product line right now and what can you offer the public that's new and different that they would want to crowdfund. And again, if you give a good story, if there's a good reason to why you're doing this, that helps, because then your community wants to buy in and they want to help you.
I think a great way to think about it is, imagine if a business came to you and it wasn't your business, and they said, hey, listen, I want to grow, I want to make more money, you know, can you give me more money? Well, you know, if they had a product that you wanted, that you could buy at a good price, if they were connected to a cause that you were really excited about, if they offered some kind of consulting advice that you were interested in as an incentive, maybe then you do it. And not only that, you know, it's not only maybe then you do it, you have to come up with some reason that people would be happy and thrilled, because this is, remember, this, you know, people are going out on a limb here. Another question, what is the percentage of successful campaigns in this space?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think that there is information on that, but that would be something really great to study. And
I also think, you know,
what
success is different. You know, you might want to crowdfund, you know, $40,000, but you only crowdfund $30,000. Well, I think that's $30,000 you didn't have before, so I think that's a success, even though you did not technically hit your goal.
Yeah, and money is only one way of looking at it.
Mhm.
You know, there'll be a lot more awareness for you, awareness for the cause. You know, there's many other benefits,
Mhm.
and not the least of which is you're testing out your idea.
Well, it's market research for your product. You know, maybe you'll learn
So-
valuable insights that, you know, either change the direction of your product or, you know, just help you in general.
It's experience, you know, it's one more way of experience. And, you know, speaking about the experience, I want to say that when you're selling an idea, whether you're going to investors, whether it's a crowdfunding idea, it's very important to have a lot of practice saying it. You know, like we were saying earlier, before you do that video, make sure you practice. There's nothing wrong with practicing answers. There's nothing wrong with that. People think every time I say something, I have to say it a little bit different, and I am not an advocate of that. If you learn a way to say something, just keep saying that thing. It's a gift to people to get that little nugget of wisdom that they're getting from you. So it's really important to talk to more people, not just your world, people out of your world, and just keep expanding on that.
Mhm. Well, I think you're honing your communications about your product or business.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And there's the importance of the elevator pitch. Another question. Any tips for a gluten-free bakery hit by a flood 2 weeks before opening? We set up a GoFundMe campaign.
Yes, try and get your community to rally behind you. Obviously, maybe there were other victims, the community's aware that that happened. You know, try and tap into that community feeling, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And remember, you can also do offline events to support your online campaign. So maybe you can do a bake sale. You know, think about creative ways to do offline events to support the online campaign, because then you'll get press out of it, the neighborhood will come, your community shows up, and it kind of just helps your campaign overall. It gets the word out.
And I could be, you know, you could be sure that there are government officials who they're trying to raise money for you at this
Mhm.
point. Work with them. Try and find out how they can be helping you, because they may have a lot of assets, a lot of techniques to help you with this. That you
And
know,
also, I want to say something that people don't really understand. Before you can go out and ask the rest of the community to buy into your campaign or to contribute to your campaign, your own network should be doing that. So before you launch, you really should line up a third of your contributions should be coming from people you are already in contact with, your friends, your customer base, your family, and that's what you should spend a lot of time on, is lining up those people to give you $1 or $10 or $100 day one.
right.
Okay, day one, that ticker should not be at 0. Day 2, that ticker should not be at 0. Day 1, you should be launching 2, 3, and 4. You should be well on your way to a third of whatever you're trying to raise. And that does a lot of things. So one, that creates virality, which means all of a sudden it's popping up in everybody's feeds, and then friends of friends are seeing it, and they're more likely to contribute. And also, so when I see that campaign, and I don't know you, but I go to that campaign page, I see you've raised money already, that gives me confidence to donate, because I think, oh wow, this person's going to hit their goal, and they're actually going to manufacture and distribute this product. It's going to happen. If I go to your campaign page and you're trying to raise $30,000 and there's only $100 on there and it's day 5,
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of confidence in that campaign. So the smartest thing you can do is really line up 1/3 of that goal
That's a good
amount.
number. That's a good number.
To get that ticker going in the first few days of your campaign. And that should come from your family, friends, social network. Work the phones, work your emails. And by the way, emails are extremely valuable. So emails are the most valuable, then it's Facebook, and then it's Twitter.
And then depending on what subject this is, what category this is, the CEO of YouTube said any YouTube that goes viral, and we're talking about virality,
Mhm.
or any YouTube that has ever gone viral, the way that happened is it had a traditional media platform. You know, it was in traditional media somewhere.
Right.
Somebody mentioned it on a TV
try
show.
and get press in your community as much as you can.
Especially,
Absolutely.
we were talking about the bakery who was flooded. I mean, local media would be interested in that. People would feel for that.
And maybe you can band together with a few other businesses in the area that also suffered and make it more of a larger story than just your bakery.
Yeah, and I would go to your vendors
Mhm.
and say to your vendors, look, if you want me to buy flour and milk and eggs, whatever it is I need, you need to help me here. Maybe there's some ideas you have. Maybe there's equipment, not only the products that you buy every day, it's the equipment Maybe it's your insurance company who'd like to have you as an example, because it shows that you're a person who's working hard to make things happen. Another question, am I allowed to run multiple campaigns or on multiple sites?
I mean, you know, you can do it. There's not a crowdfund police that's going to come and, you know, arrest you and cart you off. But I think it's very, very hard to hit your social network with multiple campaigns. So, you know, you just wrote to me yesterday about donating on this site, now you're donating on that site, and now you're spreading your dollars out. So your campaign looks less successful on both sites, which again means that to the larger audience, the people who don't know you, when they go to your campaign, it doesn't feel as, you know, as robust or as impactful as it would if you had it on one site.
Exactly right. So, you know, I guess what keeps coming up is, how do we get the word out there about this? You know, what can people do? So first there is your friends and family and the social way you may want to reach them, which is obvious. The next thing is think about sending out press releases and getting in touch with the journalists who would be interested in.
And again, you're doing that before you launch. You're not contacting the bloggers and the journalists and the editors after launch. You're contacting them before launch, and you're saying, hey, I've got this great new product. I'd love to send you a sample, and I'd love to have you, you know, perhaps cover this campaign when we launch. So you're getting them on board, and then you're doing interviews in the first few weeks of your campaign, so they're writing about it, you know, when that's happening.
And they feel like they got on the ground floor. You know, somebody doesn't want to be covering something and find out about it after everybody else knows about it. So you get them in on the ground floor. Email blasts is so important. Any tips on how to make those email blasts even more effective?
Yes, I think, you know, the subject line is very important. You know, make it a subject line that people are going to open. So make it interesting and, you know, give them some reason to open, like talk about the great new product or something they can get in there. And then the email, I would keep it, you know, relatively short. People don't have a lot of attention span. They're not going to read a lot. You know, just get to the point and send them to the campaign page. And then you need to be blogging, you know, emailing, tweeting, posting, you know, constantly.
As much information as you possibly can. It is so important. And also, so we're talking about you doing everything you possibly can on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You're up on those AdWords. You're doing word of mouth. You know, there should be no party that people don't know what you're doing that you go to. There should be no restaurant that you're not telling the waitress, the maitre d'. You know, you need to be practically wearing a sandwich board. Another question. We have local media coverage and a state senator visiting us next week. How can I take advantage of that exposure? Wow. Well, number one, if local media is coming, that is fantastic. Make sure that they're going to be covering it in the local newspaper or newspapers. Make sure it's on TV. And then also you may want to mention to the journalists that are covering this, how can I get this even, you know, how can I get even more?
Is this senator coming, is this from the bakery? Is this the same question from the bakery?
Yes, I think it's.
So I would reach out to the senator's office and see if he wants to do anything, you know,
even
together.
More special, even more special. I think
and reach out to your local, you know, your local politicians.
Yeah, and get on the phone, you know, email them, just make sure, because they want to work with someone who's eager. So if they see that you're willing to do a lot, it just makes...
And if the local media is going to be covering the senator's visit, which I'm sure they are, you know, try and get in contact with, you know, television producers from the stations. You know, they're looking for interviews. They're looking for interesting stories. So if you're a human interest story like this bakery, you know, they might want to talk to you in conjunction with his visit. So I would start, you know, hitting the phones.
Yeah, hitting the phones, sending out media alerts would be so important. Make sure you yourself have really researched answers.
Maybe you can tweet at the senator. I know, you know, the mayor of Newark, Cory Booker, responds to tweets.
Yeah.
Maybe the senator would respond, you know.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. There's so many different things that you could be doing with this. Another question. Sites like Kickstarter are all or nothing. Do you think this is a risky choice?
Yes, because I think that if you don't hit your goal, you don't get any of the money, and that's really a shame. I think for some industries, Kickstarter is really a good choice for gaming, gadgets and things like that, but I think for other industries, there's many sites out there where it's not all or nothing, and you might be better off, you know, going to one of those sites.
Yeah. I think you have to figure out who you are and what appeals to
Mhm.
you and what would make sense. And sometimes it may be uncomfortable to be in that kind of thing where it's all or nothing. On the other hand, you may be the kind of person that needs
Right.
that motivation.
Right.
You know, I'm not that kind of person, but some people may need that, and you know, whatever it is.
Mhm.
There are some platforms that won't take you unless you're looking for over $250,000.
Yes.
You know, that's something
Right.
else. I think
You have to find a platform that suits you and that will suit your product. You know, like where are those people who are going to buy your product? What platform do you think attracts those contributors?
Yeah, yeah. And when you find that platform, make sure that you're in touch with their PR people because they're trying to get publicity for their website
Mhm.
too. So if they see that you are the kind of person that is doing a lot, is quotable, has photograph, will be ready, has case studies, they're going to want to use you in their promotion. Another question, what is the fee percentage of a crowdfunding site takes from a nonprofit?
It depends on what platform you use, and they all vary. I think
Yeah.
CrowdRise is probably the cheapest for nonprofits. I think it's a 4%, but don't quote me on that. Again, just there's a lot of
Research.
sites out there. Research, yeah.
And the rules, you know, the rules evolve, you know,
Mhm.
as the platform becomes more developed.
And also, guys, you have to remember the crowdfunding site will take a percentage, and then PayPal or Stripe takes its own fee, and that is, you know, directly between you and PayPal. The crowdfunding site does not get in the middle of that transaction.
Yeah. So there's how much money you're going to make, and then we were talking about incentives earlier, and you really, you know, a lot of crowdfunders really got killed with the incentives they offered.
Mhm.
And if budget is an issue for you, you know, if you're a company and maybe you can give certain products as samples or to get out there, that's one situation. But if you're, you know, a private person, then, well, I'm going to ask you to do just the opposite. Offer consulting opportunities because obviously you have some kind of expertise in that field, so you could actually do consulting or advising, which won't cost you anything but time.
Mhm.
You know, and believe me, the numbers that you could get for that, that you could command for that, could be pretty good. Another question: will someone with a crazy schedule have enough time to run this campaign?
How motivated are you to get your product to market? You know, how motivated are you to fulfill your dream, to make it happen? You know, that's a personal choice.
How organized are you?
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, where do you put this on a priority? If your crowdfunding site isn't one of your top priorities, I think you have to think about it.
Right.
You know, different things happen in life. You know, I know that before I had a child, I used to spend a lot of time drawing. And it wasn't until my child started college that I was able to go back to it again. It wasn't the priority that it was. And the same thing with crowdfunding.
But I also think, like, who's working with you on this? Do you have a team? Maybe you can put a team together. Maybe you can hire a virtual assistant. Maybe you can outsource some of this. Maybe there's a partner you can tap into. Maybe your wife or spouse can help you.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, you can also build a team, and certain people take responsibility for different things that have to go on during the crowdfunding campaign. So if you have a team of 3 or 4 people, then, you know, one person is responsible for all the tweeting and the posting. Another person's responsible for responding to emails. You know, the third person's responsible for updating your campaign and maybe shooting a new video, you know, 3 or 4 weeks in. So if you put a team together, you know, you will have more time if that's possible to get a team together to do it.
And if you are a celebrity or you're an influential or you're someone with a lot of people following you, but you don't have time, other people who have the same crowdfunding goal you would be a gift from the heavens for them. So definitely find them or put them together, because if you have that kind of power, that could be great, you know, to get
And
people.
most crowdfunding platforms will have a functionality that you can add team members to your campaign, so they can also manage your crowdfunding campaign page as well.
Right, right. I guess it comes down to, number one is, what is your goal? You know, really, setting your goal is so important.
I think you have to set a realistic goal, which again goes back to, you know,
How much time you have,
how much time you have, how much research have you done, and how much you're looking to raise.
and what kind of resources you
Mhm.
have. Here's another question. Do you know of a campaign that's been successful simply due to the virality of the product or presentation?
Yes, there have been quite a few campaigns that did go viral. Karen, the bus monitor, is a very famous one. She was
Yes.
bullied on the bus, and they ended up raising $700,000 for her. But again, that got pushed out through social media, through the campaign or social media in the beginning, and then it got taken over by the, you know, standard media, and it was on every, you know, every news station, and that pushed that campaign.
Yeah, yeah. And there's the one of the hoodie that will last
The
10
10-year
years.
hoodie, yeah.
That was a big one that everybody was talking about, and I'm sure that their PR machine was really, really working.
Also,
on
you know,
that.
the 10-year hoodie was, I think they were already, you know, in business.
Yeah.
So it wasn't two guys in a garage with a dream.
No, no.
Although that was a dream, it was $1 million campaign. I believe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They had a very successful business, and I know as soon as we finish this conversation it'll pop in my mind, but they had a very successful business and they knew what they were talking about. But, you know, I don't know about you, I want a hoodie that would last 10 years. And just because I'd have so much history,
Right,
you know,
right.
that would be fantastic. We have another question. What if you make more than your goal? Fantastic.
Yay!
Yeah, fantastic.
Good
We
on
love
you.
that.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. If you are sort of hitting your goal and you're in, you know, the first third of your campaign or midway through your campaign, what you want to do is add a stretch goal. So you don't want people who are coming to the campaign to get turned off and not contribute because they think, oh, well, that person's going to hit their goal, I don't need to give them money. You want to add some kind of, you know, new goal for yourself. So, you know, hey guys, if we go over the goal, I'm going to use the X amount to do something even cooler and greater.
And imagine how motivational and
Right.
incentivizing that would be
Right.
to people. They'd say, oh my gosh, this person has been super
Right.
successful, I want to give them more money.
And
They
again, you
make
should
it
be
happen.
thinking about stretch goals in advance.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to
Yeah.
think about,
Yeah,
right?
that's very positive, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now you have the idea, you have a plan, you have money. What's your next step?
Your next step is to actually launch your campaign. So one, we've talked a little bit about videos. You know, get a videographer to shoot you, practice, practice, practice. Make sure you do a call to action in the video, ask for the money. Keep the video short. Do not go over 3 minutes. Nobody watches videos for very, very
No,
long.
I agree.
Really keep the video nice and short. And then you want to do a great campaign description.
Yeah. You know, one thing about the videos, there was an article in the New York Times yesterday about how to make these videos as effective as possible. And they were saying the videos that go viral, you know, why does this happen? What is it about it? And one of the explanations is that they build up a lot of tension. You know, like if something is like that you watch it and it makes you very, very sad, or it gets you very, very upset, the way that you release that tension is you tweet it out to everybody. You know, you send it out to everyone. So think about that. Think about, you don't want the video to leave people nice and calm. You want them to feel like a little uneasy.
Right,
so
I mean, you
that
know,
it relieves their-
comedy is usually the #1 factor for making a video go viral. There's something funny about it, you know, cats.
Cats.
You know, listen, if you can do a very funny video, if you think you're a comedian, great. If not, just be very direct, speak from
Very
your
authentic.
heart. Just speak from your heart and, you know, just describe your product, show it, demonstrate it. And really, you know, people are going to connect with you in the video, so that's the most important thing.
Because remember, what you want is ultimately what everybody wants. So you have to like make people understand and really project. And you know, this is
Well, they're
this
not
is
only
your
buying
shot.
your product, they're buying into you, and they have to feel that you are going to get this to market, you have the do or die determination to do it, and they have to like you, they have to want to help you.
Yeah, yeah, that likability is so important. And you don't have to be the most beautiful or the most handsome or whatever. You have to be someone that people believe you have something for them that they need. We have another question. Would it be prudent for me to use social media or comic creators like Bitstrips to promote my campaign?
Sure, why not? Try it. Absolutely.
Anything you could think of.
I would
because-
try everything, you know.
Yeah.
Try, we were joking around about a walking sandwich board, you know, try that too.
That could work. It's like very low tech, but you know, it happens. I mean, I know that I get a lot of information from people all day long, whether I'm going to the gym or it's the coffee shop or it's the lunch, you know, whatever it is. So you get the word out, and then if you can speak about it in a way that talk loud enough and project, not be obnoxious, but so that other people can pick it up on their antenna what you're talking about. So it's not only the person you're talking to, other people may hear you, and then they go out and tell you. And if you're a good person and it's a good idea, they're going to want to help you and get excited about this too. So, do you have a crowdfunding idea that you'd like to try out on us? I mean, I've been wondering.
Right in, guys, right in. Send us your ideas.
Uh-oh, we have one more question before. Social media is not my strong point. Should I hire someone to help?
Yes, you might want to think about this. If you really, crowdfunding is all about social media. So if you, number one, what is your following? You need to know that. How many people, follow you on Facebook? How many people follow you on Twitter? How many email addresses do you have? You need to know this before you launch, because again, a third of whatever you want to raise should come from your own network.
Right.
So if you don't really have a strong social following, you probably want to build that up before you start crowdfunding, way before you start crowdfunding.
Yeah, by contacting bloggers, by doing guest blogging. There's so many different ways to do that. But to cut to the chase, yes, definitely ask one. Or maybe there's a partnership that you could, if you don't have any money, maybe there's some sort of partnership that you could have with someone who is a social media expert.
But you need some kind of social following
to
be successful on crowdfunding. And if that requires you to build that following before you launch, hire somebody, do whatever you have to do.
Yeah, because that will make the delicious difference. You can't do it any other way. I mean, we're saying that a lot of the way a lot of things become viral is with traditional media, but in this day and age, it just isn't enough. It's like saying, can I get a campaign, but I can't write.
Right. And you have to think of social media as your fans or your potential customers. I mean, that's who they are, and you want to start talking to them, and you want to start building those lists before you start crowdfunding.
And a tip to whoever you're going to be utilizing for social media, it's very important that you communicate with them. Like, don't be, I hear sometimes about people who they meet someone who's very good in social media, and they come in and they talk to you in terms that you don't really understand. If you can't, social media is another marketing channel. So if they don't understand you, if they're not communicating to you in a language you understand, that may not be the best marriage. What you have to find is someone who can understand you, because at the end of the day, even if you're not into social media, there's a lot you can contribute. You've created this product, you've come up with the idea for it, you understand how people can use it, you need someone that you can communicate with. So make sure that there's a dialogue, and it is a two-way dialogue, because even if you hire someone to do social media, that doesn't mean, I'm done. The social media is, they're going to be relying on you on the content. The content is so important. Whatever social media you have, if you don't have good content, who cares? And I could give you a million stories about that. Where can I network with investors, mentors, and others excited about crowdfunding?
I think you can look on LinkedIn for groups, and that's quite effective. You can also try Meetup. You can also just see again who else is in the space. And that that's part of your research. So who's out there? What angel investors are out there investing in products like yours? And follow those guys on Twitter, on Facebook. I mean, you have to do some homework.
Yeah, it's essential. Many investors are doing webinars and things that are absolutely for free. They're in places where it is free to meet them. You have to do the research. People are going out because if you really have a great product, and you don't do this if you don't think you have something really great. If you have something great, it's a benefit to the investor to find you. The investor is looking for somebody like you if you really have something great, because you're going to make them a fortune. Believe me, they are very, very good at being out there and being accessible, but they can't make themselves too obvious. You have to be a good sleuth.
Are there trade shows you can attend? Food, beverage, health and beauty trade shows. You'll meet a lot of people at those places. Yeah. And you'll see what the products are coming up.
Absolutely. Trade shows are great. Webinars are great. If there are any investors, you're researching like companies, who invested in you. If you can find some, and you should have a target list of investors, go to their websites. Every website says contact. Contact. And don't say, oh, a lot of people contact them, forget it. No, you get in there and you just try to make a case for yourself.
Email is very, very direct. And, listen, a lot of times there's junk stuff that comes in and we all hit delete, delete, delete. But you're getting right to that person. An email's like putting, the mail in somebody's hands. So, never underestimate the power of actually getting through to somebody via email or via a tweet.
Or a telephone.
Yeah.
Have we forgotten about that?
Yes, we totally forgot our phones.
I gotta tell you, I have great luck calling people, and you just call, and and I have to say, as flaky as it sounds, I believe in the power of intention, and if you don't believe in it, just don't I'm
Just
getting
ignore
into your
this part of-
I'm getting into your subconscious anyway. If you are like, I am going to get to that person, you know, like part of it is you're going to be rejected a little bit, but ultimately, you know, you're going to
Right.
keep fighting back. So don't be discouraged. Look at it as fun. Look at it as a game, and you're going to get through to that person. So I do encourage phone calls, emails, tweet, anything you can. And be there. You know, it's really important to be there. And we have another question. If I were to use a crowdfunding campaign to start my own country, what do I need to know? Wow.
I don't know, you know. I don't know Evita Perón, I have no idea.
The name of the country, the benefit, who wants to go there. You know, well, let's start out with who, what, when, where, why, how.
I think you would have a hard time getting people to contribute, but, you know, you could try it.
Yeah. Well, what benefit do you get by being in that country?
Right. Am I getting citizenship for my contribution? I don't know.
Am I getting real estate in this country? Is this a country, an area that you already you already own, that you want to have your own separate country? That'd be great. Okay. Have we covered just about everything for?
I think we've covered a lot.
So we have a country that wants a crowdfunding campaign.
That could be the very first country crowdfunding campaign.
And it started here. Trent and Company. That's pretty good. And you were here, so they have to. If it's going to be successful, they do have
do it
to
on FundAnything. And actually, to anybody watching today, if you start a crowdfunding campaign on our site, we will offer 4% flat fee, whether you hit your goal or not. Just write to steve@fundanything.com. You can find me on Twitter. I'm @Sam DelCanto on Twitter, and I blog and tweet a lot about the crowdfunding space. So a lot of the stuff we've discussed and
what a great opportunity!
Other
Thank
things
you.
are featured there on my Twitter feed. Lots of tips and stuff.
How long would that stand for? The 4% discount?
A while.
Okay, a while. Okay. How much is too much social media? Great question.
You know, I don't think there's too much. I think people might get a little sick of it, and you can apologize to people that you know, but really think about what you see in your Facebook feed. You know, you hardly see anything. You know, your followers are only seeing about 10% of what's actually in their feed anyway, between the ads and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really worry about that so much.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I look at it as this. I look at it as nutritive manipulation. So if you're giving somebody something of value, if you're giving them information that they'll enjoy, or a joke, or whatever it is that they will value, you're never going to go over the line because it's of value to them. But if you're just doing it just to, for your own, making your platform bigger, you really have to think about what the other person is getting. And one last note I want to mention, and that's this. We've talked a lot about thinking about what you should be saying, and like how you should practice what you're saying, and you should like condense it and make it better all the time. But I think it's very, very important for people to think and realize when you're talking on here that you need to figure out what people can hear. So don't start talking about things that they're not going to. You really have to be aware of what people can hear, and you can make assumptions about that.
I just think, just keep it basic.
Basic is good.
Keep it basic.
And quality. Yeah. So, if I really enjoyed this time, and I'm really sad that it's over. Darn.
I know. Went too quick.
I know. It's fun. Things are fun when they go. I just want to say, if you have any more questions for me, you could always reach me at Nancy, Nancy, at trentandcompany.com, or on Twitter on the Trend Spotter.
She is a trend spotter.
Hey, listen, it takes one to know one, girlfriend. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
It's really fun. Good luck. I can't wait to hear about your campaign.
Start a campaign on FundAnything.
The sooner the better. Well, if the product's good. If you